Put a 1 in the comments if you can hear me. What's up, everybody? Hey, James Zhang here. Today, I'm going to be addressing a deep dive of a question about these skinny drops, these body balancing drops that I've been getting a lot, which is what are the ingredients in these drops? And if you're not familiar with these body balancing drops, these quote unquote skinny drops or SlenderX system, the reason why people are asking is because the results have been amazing. The average woman loses half a pound a day. The average man loses 2/3 a pound a day. We're seeing hormones being balanced. We're seeing women that say their hot flashes are gone. We're seeing people burn their stubborn fat. We're seeing people curb their cravings. We're seeing amazing experiences that almost seem miraculous. So sometimes the feeling is it sounds too good to be true. It must be some drug. It must be something weird. So what's in the skinny drops is a very important question. So today I want to address all of those and give you also some information that you can look it up yourself as well too. And by the way, if you have used these drops and you had some experiences, put it in the comments below so we can all see it. What are some of your experiences on this? I personally, when I got introduced to these drops, was super skeptical. And by the way, I'm a super sciencey. I need to know the details. I'm the label reader type of person. So when I heard the results, I'm just like a lot of people, like, what's in this stuff? Is it going to like kill me or grow a third arm, right? Or is it actually healthy for me? So I did the due diligence. In fact, today I'm going to go through certain elements in the clinical trial, which was done, which you can find in the link in the caption, by the way, if you want to read through the 20-some page clinical trial, if you're a nerd like me. But anywho, I used this. I lost 25 pounds in 40 days with no exercise. It curbed my cravings. It cut through my fat just like a hot knife through butter. And I got abs for the first time, which was so awesome. Your hubby lost 2 inches in his waistline. That's what I'm talking about. There we go. So I want to give you a framework first. Then I want to describe this. And the framework is this. Just because something seems like it's too good to be true does not mean that it's not true. My encouragement for anybody, whether this is a product, whether this is making a decision in life, whether this is faith, business, finances, whatever that it is, like be your own best advocate and ask the questions and do the due diligence. But don't simply disregard something because you think it's too good to be true or because someone else gave an opinion and you took that opinion. Especially when it deals with health, it's important because we all have autonomy over our own body. Let me ask this question. Who here wants to have the most vibrant, amazing health for yourself and your family? Put a 1 in the comments if that's you. You want the most vibrant and best health. You want to wake up like boom. You want to be able to feel the best. You want to be able to live your best. So if that's the case, it's important that you understand that your body is for you and that you're in control of that. No other organization is responsible for that. No other person is responsible for that. That means that we each need to be accountable for that. So when you look at information, be accountable for it. Don't just take other people's words for it. I like reviews, I like testimonials, but I'd encourage, do the digging. So that you know that you know that you know. So with that framework, that's why I like to actually go read and stuff. And if you do take my word for this, like that's cool. But let me just show it to you myself. So I'm going to go through this clinical trial. And the clinical trial was done, gosh, this is maybe 18 years ago. I'm just going to read through parts of this. If you want to read the whole thing, then go to the caption and you can read about the clinical trials. If you really want to know the science. So what is this SlenderX thing? This is a homeopathic product. What is homeopathic? Well, homeopathy is a 200-year-old medical discipline. Some people say homeopathy is a scam. Well, have you done the due diligence? There's a lot of history about homeopathy itself. Let me give another note. Just because you don't understand it doesn't mean it's wrong. Just because you don't understand it doesn't make it false. In fact, if you don't understand it, I'd recommend being an open-minded skeptic until proven wrong. right? But I think in our nation, I think in our world, let me just go on a side tangent here. Most of us, if it's not in our own framework, we dismiss it immediately, don't we? Because it's different from what we believe, we're like, no, that's false. But you know what I've realized about life? More often than not, I've realized that I just don't know about it yet. Because of my ignorance, I don't know. And who here would agree that we probably have a higher odds of not knowing about something than knowing about it? Who here would agree that there's probably more things in this world that we don't actually understand compared to the limited knowledge that we do understand? If we think otherwise, I do a little bit of an ego check personally, because I mean, there's a lot of things to know in this world. There's a lot of things to understand. So that's why I like to approach things, especially when it's unfamiliar, with an open-minded skepticism, right? Learn to think again. Okay, I know this isn't answering the question of what ingredients are in here, but I think it's so important because I don't want you to take my word for it or anyone else's word for it. Do your own due diligence. Okay. Anywho, homeopathy. So I'm reading through the clinical trials. That means it was scientific. That means this was a double-blind, placebo-controlled test. That means that they actually did the testing, right? This is not me giving my opinion. This is not someone else just randomly putting a fact, a quote unquote fact page versus opinion page on Google. And by the way, be careful if you Google, not all Google opinions are alike. Some people are like, oh, I saw this article about these drops and I knew it was a scam. Well, I mean, read through that. What's their credibility on this? And what are they actually saying? I would trust a clinical trial over someone else's opinion, over my own opinion, right? Okay, so homeopathy, if you're not familiar with it, is a science that deals with like curing like. And how homeopathy works is somewhat like a vaccine is supposed to work. You take a little ingredient of something, and then it triggers a response in your body. If you know how a vaccine works, let's say you want a flu vaccine, it's supposed to be that a flu vaccine, you take a little bit of the flu and you put it in your body, and then it produces an immune response. So you produce the antibodies. So you have some type of immunity to the flu, right? That's how it works. But it doesn't give you so much of the flu that you get sick. Well, sometimes you get sick, but that's a different story right there, right? Homeopathy works very similarly. It's a little bit of details. It's a little bit of ingredients. In fact, the ingredients, they're so small that they do what's called serial dilution. So what they do is they take an ingredient, they put it in like a centrifuge in a tube, they spin it, and it makes it smaller. It like extracts the pure ingredient. And then serial dilution means they do it multiple times. In fact, if you take a look at the ingredients in SlenderX, and by the way, this mainly applies for the SlenderX and Accelerate formulation. We do provide a similar type of product in Europe, Australia, many other markets called day and night drops. Those don't have the same ingredients as what I'm going over here, but the science is somewhat similar. So I just want to make you aware of that. I'm talking specific about SlenderX. I'm talking specifically about Accelerate. Okay, so for example, if you look at the ingredients of SlenderX, one of them is called ammonium bromatum 12X. 12X. You might ask, well, what does that mean? What that means is when there's a number, that means the amount of dilutions that it went through, the amount of cycles that it went through. So if it's 12 times, they took it, spun it, took that little bit, spun it, took that little bit, spun it, and then went over and over and over again. Let me just share my screen so you can see how this might look like. But if that makes sense, then put a 1 in the comments below. Okay. So if you go to the actual website itself, you can take a look here, just so you can have a reference here. Ammonium bromatum 12X, if you see that. That means that they serially diluted that one ingredient 12 times so that it's like super, super, super small. So if anyone's afraid, they're like, oh my gosh, I don't know. That sounds like it might be bad for it. No, it's not, because it's so tiny. Like you need vats and vats and vats of this to even do anything. But when it comes to homeopathy, the science works because it's just a little bit to trigger response. Okay, so knowing that this is a homeopathic product, how does this actually work and what does it do? The reason why these drops are so powerful, and we call them body balancing drops, once again going through the clinical trial, let me just read it. It says, SlenderX employs a modernized approach to homeopathy, blending individual time-proven remedies into one cohesive formula to effectively address all imbalances, that's why it's body balancing, which contribute to today's epidemic of abnormal weight gain. So that's dietary, emotional, cellular detox, neurotransmitter communication, that means from your brain to your body, hunger patterns, and addictive behaviors. Right? So it's doing all that. And by the way, if some people are like, well, I don't know, is this safe? This product was actually tested in over 10,000 patients prior to us getting exclusive distribution rights to this. Did you know that? 10,000. So it's been tested. The ingredients themselves have been tested for hundreds of years. And now we can actually go into the ingredients. If you're still with me, put a 2 in the comments. Let's now dive into what some of these ingredients in this formulation are and what they actually do. Don't take my word for it. Read the clinical trials itself. Okay, number 1. I'll just read maybe 3 of these. There is an ingredient called ammonium bromotum. Okay, ammonium bromotum. Ammonium bromotum, and these are all homeopathic ingredients I'm going through right now. These are all natural. These aren't drugs. These are things you can find in Mother Nature, right? Ammonium bromotum helps with things like actually headaches. It also helps with things like combating against obesity, right? So that's one of the many ingredients that are in the SlenderX product. How about another one? Avena sativa. Avena sativa is able to support the brain and nervous system. And it helps you to combat against things like nervous exhaustion. So if your nervous system is taxed, it's tired, it's not able to fire the right way, wire the right way, it's able to support that. It also helps, by the way, for sexual debility. That means that it can increase that function, supposedly, for Avena sativa. And it helps against morphine habits. It helps against addictions. Have you noticed that there are addictions that we have in our life, in our food, in all that are hard to kick sometimes? That's why with these, I've seen people use the drops. I'm not saying that it's this specific that did it, but even with addictions like smoking, I've had clients that were addicted to smoking. They use the drops, balance their body. Not only did they lose weight, but they actually lost their cravings for smoking. Yeah, or breads, which is a big thing, right? So very interesting. What else is in this? Let me go into. Oh, this one's interesting. Okay. Let's go into graphites. Once again, these are on the clinical trials. Graphites are an ingredient that help actually the skin. It helps combat against constipation. It helps. Does anyone ever struggle with low body temperature? Like you're always cold, like it's hard to warm up. So this can help support that. Also, for women, a lot of women go through hormone imbalance. My wife included, she had bad menstrual pain. This says it can support and help against delayed menstrual history and actually help against anemia, right? That's that's blood being able to have enough nutrition and oxygen in there. There's other ingredients in here that can help against nervousness. There's other ingredients here that can help the gastrointestinal system. There's others here that can help against bad cravings. Nux vomica. This is one that can help against those cravings, for example. Nux can also address conditions such as ravenous hunger. Who here has ever experienced ravenous hunger? You're just thinking about food all the time, right? Put a me in the comments. I'm a big foodie, so I've definitely experienced that. And let me just go through one final one because this is a popular reason why people look into this. If you know somebody that has had thyroid imbalances, hyperthyroidism, hypothyroidism, we've had people had PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, a lot of thyroid issues because of how we live right now. There's an ingredient called thyroidinum, which helps support the thyroid and can help against even things like psoriasis. And just read this, right? Uterine fibroids, tumors of the breast. Wow. Sensitive to symptoms of hypothyroidism. It helps against weakness and fatigue. There's a lot of different things, you know? Is that like being a bear? Kind of. That's more of a metabolism thing. Hypothyroidism and hyperthyroidism is more of the thyroid's inability to respond to nutrition and your body and your food the right way. Okay, so that is just some of the ingredients that are in the SlenderX homeopathic formulation. So that's why when clients get onto these quote unquote skinny drops, they will notice, hey, my cravings went away. They will notice, hey, my headaches are getting better. They will notice, my menstrual cycle is getting better. My hot flashes are going away. My menstrual cycles are getting more normal. I've had clients that said that they missed their period for 4 months. They started using the drops and then they got regular again. They're like, wow, how did that happen? It's because of the different ingredients that are in SlenderX specifically that support the hormonal system. That's why it's a body balancing system. And if you're into more information about these quote unquote skinny drops or SlenderX program, connect with a partner in the company, or if you're connected with me, I have the links in my caption and bio as well too. You can grab them. Oh, and if you want to lose weight as a byproduct, why don't we lose weight? The reason why we don't lose weight as well is because our whole system is wacky. The way you don't need a prescription on these are simply just supplements, or supernatural, healthy and everything. It's because our brain, because of toxicity, how we live, what we eat, all of that, it starts to have a disconnect with our body. It's like out of balance. A good analogy to think of is, have you ever had bad Wi-Fi signal? Maybe you're trying to do a video call, you're doing a Zoom call, and then you're like cutting in and cutting out, right? If you have bad Wi-Fi signal in your body, the brain is unable to connect with your body the efficient way, and that's why you get stuck with your fat loss. But if you're able to clear that channel, if you're able to clear up that Wi-Fi signal, we call those neurotransmitters, we call that your endocrine system, we call that your chemical system in your body of messages and everything. Because that gets cleared, then your body can effectively and efficiently actually release fat and toxins. And when that happens, that's why we see the average woman losing 15 pounds a month, the average male loses 20 pounds a month if they're trying to lose weight. Oh, and by the way, it doesn't only promote weight loss, it also promotes lean muscle gain. If that's something interesting. If this is interesting so far, put a 1 in the comments below. I encourage you, read the clinical trial. I'm not that smart. I'm just reading this. Do your own due diligence, right? Okay. But I just want to encourage you. Maybe you don't want to read all of it, but just know that these are good ingredients. These are things that will work. That's why when people say, well, James, I don't know if the product's working for me. And I also want to let you know this. Every body is different. Metabolically, we have different bodies, right? Our health did not get to where it is overnight. So today I was working with a client on these drops and they're like, I used it for a week and I didn't lose any weight yet. I feel more energetic, but I didn't lose any weight yet. Am I doing it wrong? I'm like, no, it just means that your body got to go through some balancing. Some people get immediate results. It's very normal that we see clients losing 3, 5, 7 pounds in their first week. But it's also normal seeing some people not lose any weight in their first week. Why? It's part of the process. Give it some time. Give it a month, give it 2 months, give it 3 months. What's the goal? To balance the body. Okay, that's SlenderX. Second thing, I hope this is fascinating. Second thing is Accelerate. Accelerate, these both come in the same box, by the way. One month supply. The Accelerate is also super important. So I'm going to pull up this clinical trial once again. And if you take a look what Accelerate is, it is a blend of what's called methylcobalamin, B12. Is anyone familiar with vitamin B12? Put a B in the comments if you are. It has biotin and also a blend of what's called adaptogens. I'll define what these are in just a little bit. Okay. These are important to understand. This is like a de-stressor. This is like a metabolism booster. Okay. And it actually boosts the immune system in many ways. So let's go into vitamin B12 specifically. And there are people that take vitamin B12 shots. There are some people that take a standalone vitamin B. B vitamins are super important. Why? Because when you don't have, this is trippy. If you're at all concerned about your heart, you want to make sure you're mindful about vitamin B. Why? Vitamin B, if you don't have enough of it, there is something in your body produced called homocysteine. Homocysteine. I'll pull it up in the clinical trial so you can see where it is. Homocysteine, if you have too much of it, is what actually damages your arteries, causes cholesterol to build up, and causes things like plaques of the arteries and things like heart disease and stroke and all that. So less B12, less B vitamins means more homocysteine. More B vitamins means that it actually neutralizes homocysteine. So if you're lacking in B, that's not good for your heart and other diseases. Now, not all vitamin Bs are made the same. Many vitamin Bs, and I recommend if you have a vitamin B at home, by the way, that isn't this one, read the ingredients, and I want you to think this. What does it say? What is the actual form of the vitamin B12? Most vitamin B is what's called cyanocobalamin. Cyanocobalamin. If you see that, this is synthetic. It's 100 times cheaper, but it's also not as absorbable into the body. Okay. What you want to look for if you're looking for a vitamin B is you're looking for, exactly, Neelam put it right. You're looking for a methylated form of B12, which is called methylcobalamin. What does that mean? Methylcobalamin is the form of vitamin B12 that is as close to the body absorbability, the body's absorbable form of B12 that you need. So it's kind of like if you take, it's safe to say applesauce is different from an apple. Let me do a quick quiz. Which is healthier for you and more nutritious? Is it applesauce or is it an apple? Put a 1 if it's applesauce, put a 2 if it's an apple. Which one is better for you? Which one's more nutritious for you? Applesauce 1, apple number 2. Put it in the comments. Yeah, and it's not a trick question. Yeah, 2. An apple. You want to, as much as you can, if you're taking something in your body, go straight to the source, go straight to the most absorbable form in your body. That's like the corollary of cyanocobalamin. Cyanocobalamin is the applesauce. The methylcobalamin is the apple. So you want to have the apple version. You want to have the methylated version. It's absorbable. Not all vitamin Bs are made the same. So what is in, the first thing that is in this Accelerate product is a methylated form of vitamin B12 so you can actually get absorption. I know. Interesting, right? I'm telling you, your body's fascinating. Okay, cool. What else do we have? Scrolling down, biotin, good for hair, skin, and nails. I think a lot of people know that. Let me talk about this one. There's also this thing called adaptogens. Has anyone heard of adaptogens before? Put a 5 in the comments if you've heard of adaptogens. Like, it's a fancy sounding word, isn't it? It sounds so nice. Say that 5 times fast and you can sound smart, right? Adaptogens. Adaptogens, if you want a hint to what adaptogens are, look at the word. What word do you notice is in the word adaptogen? Put it in the comments. What's the big root word that you see in the word adaptogen? It is the word adapt, right? So imagine adaptogens, exactly. Adaptogens are certain herbs and ingredients that adapt with your body based on the circumstances, okay? So some of those adaptogens that are in here are called ashwagandha, rhodiola rosea. These are herbs. Now, what do these do? These help you specifically against stress. In fact, I'll just highlight one with it, which is ashwagandha. Who here feels that you have a good dose of stress in your day-to-day? Put a me in the comments if you're like me, right? You have a good dose of stress. By the way, did you know that when you have stress, you raise your cortisol levels? When you raise your cortisol levels, it actually puts you in a fight or flight mode and you hold on to fat more. You actually gain more weight. It's really bad for your hair. It's really bad for your health as a whole, right? So we want to go against cortisol. How do we do that? And some of us are chronically stressed. Some of us are not even aware we're stressed anymore because of how our lives are right now. We're so busy. We're around the clock. We're attached to our phones all the time. Like there's a lot of stressors. I get it, right? So sometimes people, I was chatting with a client today, they're like, man, why am I not losing weight? I'm like, you're probably chronically stressed. So we want to start to support this. So there's one ingredient in this Accelerate called ashwagandha. They did an interesting test with ashwagandha. This was back in the war times. And in the war times, they took this ashwagandha, it's an herb, they gave it to the Russian military. And imagine if you're in war, like a world war, you are under constant stress. You are in fight or flight mode every single day, literally. So they gave these wartime soldiers ashwagandha. And you know what they noticed? They noticed that they were more calm. They noticed that they were able to make more level-headed decisions. They noticed that their energy levels were higher. They noticed that they were able to have higher endurance. Why? Because the adaptogens were able to help them to help curb that stress level. And it also, by the way, does help when it comes to fat loss as well. Interesting, huh? Is it okay if I give one more? What are the ingredients in this SlenderX and Accelerate product? Okay. One last one. This one's pretty cool. Rhodiola. I'm going to highlight this. Rhodiola, I'm going to read it straight. Rhodiola helps to transport serotonin precursors, reducing depression. Wow. We've seen people that are depressed on the clinical trial actually be able to not be depressed anymore. I'm just saying what the clinical trial said. I'm not making a medical claim, okay? It helps with mental health. Also increases body fat to muscle ratio by mobilizing fatty acid stores during exercise, supporting increased fat burning. Wow, what does that mean? Hey, who here would want to lose the bad fat but keep the good weight? Lose the bad fat but keep the good muscle. That's why we say that this can help promote lean muscle gain too. Some people say, James, I don't want to lose weight. And I actually want to challenge people on this. I want you to think not all weight is the same. You know, one of my mentors said this: skinny people fall over and die every single day. It's not about the number on the scale. It's about how healthy are we actually. Case in point, many of us are carrying around toxic fat, stubborn fat. It's called visceral fat. If you do a DEXA body scan, like a whole scan of your body, you'll notice that you'll have this thing called visceral fat. Visceral fat is toxic fat that usually builds up on top of organs. A good depiction is this. Does anyone know of someone that has the dad bod, the stereotypical dad bod? I put a 1 in the comments if you know someone with the dad bod. The dad bod is characterized by a large stomach, but it's weird because it's not flabby. Have you touched the dad bod before? It's like solid. It's like a rock, right? But it's protruding. You're like, why is that happening? It's not fat there. You know why the stomach protrudes? It's because, and that's actually really bad, because that means is the fat isn't on the top layer that you can see. The fat is behind the stomach. It's literally on the stomach. It's on the pancreas. It's on the liver. And the visceral fat is pushing the gut out. That's when you have a hard gut, but you have a big one. That suggests high levels of visceral fat, which means a lot of toxicity, which means that higher odds of things like cholesterol and heart issues and diabetes and all that. So guys, if you got a dad bod, or ladies, if you know someone with a dad bod, they need to get rid of that visceral fat. So in that point, you want to lose the bad fat. And by the way, some of the people that are the unhealthiest are the ones that have the struggle and or benefit of being hard gainers. Okay? Of being hard gainers. Does anyone know someone, it's that friend that everyone's jealous of? They can eat everything in mind. They never gain fat. Maybe you're that person, right? Put a 2 in the comments if you know someone like that. Now, while that might be funny, the reality is this: there's some metabolic imbalances there. That's one reason why it's hard to gain weight, which, by the way, these can actually help when it comes to balancing the body again. But those are the ones that sometimes are the most unhealthy because they think that they're healthy because they can wear a dress or they can wear a shirt and they don't have fat, seemingly. But many times, especially if they have a bad lifestyle, many times, if you took a scan of their body is probably storing a lot of visceral fat. You can also call that skinny fat sometimes. Someone that's skinny, but they got a little bit of a pooch going on. That is not a good thing too. So not all weight's the same. So you want to drop bad fat. And if that means you lose some pounds on the scale, be happy about that. But also it promotes lean muscle gain too, so you can gain the good weight too. Body composition is totally different. Okay, anywho, I hope you're getting some cool nuggets from this. Yeah, if you missed any of this, go back to the beginning. You might want to go back through this. And remember, just go through the clinical trials. I'm not saying anything new. I'm just simply reading through the clinical trial. I'm answering the question, what are the ingredients in these skinny drops? This SlenderX homeopathic remedy and this accelerate adaptogenic herb. That's why these two together, just to sum things up. That's why if people are looking for an actual healthy solution that targets the most important aspects about our health, that helps balance your body, supports the thyroid, supports the metabolism, helps support burning the bad fat, helps support lean muscle gain, helps with the menstrual system, helps with the mental health, helps with digestion, helps with energy levels, and so many other cool benefits. And I say that not the product, I'm saying the ingredients that are in this product. If they're looking for an actual body balance where they can get balanced and then lose fat as a byproduct, they can get balanced and be vibrant as a byproduct. They can be balanced and actually change your life for the long run, not just a short-term yo-yo diet. There is nothing better and nothing healthier that I've ever seen to this day after over 10 years of working with this product, using this product, helping other people with this, that does it better than these drops. That's why even though it's called skinny drops, it does so much more than that. You can use these drops as much as you want because it deals with hormone balancing. There's no negative impact to that. Some people cycle on and off of it. There's no negative impact, right? If you continue to use it. Most people, the way they think about these drops is, let me keep on using it until I hit my goal. And then they might cycle off and then use it every now and then. Okay. But there's no negative side impact to that. So anywho, I hope you found this helpful. I hope you learned a couple things today. I hope if you are using the skinny drops, this reaffirms that it's not just a placebo thing happening to your body, but it's actually happening. I hope if you're considering these drops, by the way, or your friend tagged you on this or something, that you're like, oh, okay, there's actually some science behind this. This isn't just some hocus pocus, like Photoshop thing. Yeah. And if you're considering this, by the way, and you want to order them, connect back to the partner that referred you to this. Or if I'm that partner, feel free to grab it in my link in the bio. We do buy them in bulk and we do get you a discount as well too. I have a couple left myself, but you can talk to any partner. It's going to be super helpful. But if you're looking for an actual solution that's healthy, that can help you, you will not be sad by taking these. Okay. So if it was helpful, yeah, put a 10 in the comments, perhaps tag someone in this. Feel free to share this or anything. And if you have any other questions, just let me know. And that answers what the ingredients are in the skinny drops. If you want to do a deep dive, look at the clinical trial. I have the link that is in the caption as well. Other than that, have a great one. Stay healthy.